Okay, everybody. You have just me today. Christy had to step out for some family stuff, but she should be back next time. So let's get started. I'm glad everyone was able to jump on and join either today or whenever they have a free moment. That's great. However you prefer to do it works for me. So today we're going to talk about AI in education. That's something that we've probably been talking about all summer long, all into last year. If you've been to any of our PDs, some of this stuff might be familiar to you, maybe things we've already talked about, but it's always good to have a second look, a second thought time about this. So, Christy Johnson's our digital engagement lead. I'm our instructional technology specialist. Like I said, Christy won't be here today. If you do want to follow along or have this presentation, the QR code on the screen will do that for you, along with the bit.ly. There are some interactive things in there. You're welcome to jump on later and fill that out. We have one survey in there if you want to. This would be the place to do that. And then here's our agenda for today. How are you using AI in your district? What are the best practices when you're using AI for your students, for your educators, for an admin team? Are you using Gemini now? Is that your kind of your preferred AI tool? If so, why or why not? We want to talk about the new updates where Gemini is now built right into Google Classroom, a great new feature for them. And then also we'll talk about Notebook LM. And at the very bottom, I do have a few resources, some other products that you might want to think about when you're using AI, just something to kind of to wet your whistle on what AI tools are out there. But so let's start off with how are you using AI as a district or as an individual? This is our one survey. So if you watch this later and you want to fill it out, that's great. You can always come back and look and see how many responses are on there and kind of how the districts within our region are kind of considering AI. Do you have it as a district have an AI policy? That's something that a lot of districts are starting to consider. Do we want to have a hard stance as a district as a whole? Do we kind of divide that up between each campuses? Do we have a different policy for maybe our secondary, our 6 through 12, even just our high school, versus how we might consider using AI for our lower levels? So that's something that you might want to consider. You might want to talk with, if you're not an admin, maybe talk to your admin. Do we have a policy? What rules should I follow? What guidelines are there for me? And then also, how do I personally want to do this in my classroom? Secondly, are you ready for AI? This is something that as educators we have to consider. Is AI going away? Absolutely not. This is only the beginning. This is kind of just the kind of the test time. This is the early stages of this feature of this product of the new way we do education. And so as educators, we need to consider what are the next steps? How do I prepare my lessons, my students in my classroom for a world where AI is not going away and it's only going to get more advanced? So how as educators do we change our lesson plans and adapt to that new world? And how are students going to be using AI? So we just talked about that with our policies. You need to consider how you should use it safely and effectively with your students. What policies are you going to follow to make sure they're using it safely and using it in a really meaningful way for their education? Next, we want to talk about what number are you? So this is a educator AI hype cycle. This is on Matt Miller's book. So if you have not read his book on AI, it's really helpful for me to kind of consider not just how AI should be used and best ways of using it, but how as educators we should consider AI. So on here it talks about our hype cycle, where number one is the conflict and panic. So this might be where you're at. Hopefully we're past that at this point, but that's okay if you're not. Maybe you're watching this video because you have not experienced AI yet and you want to start considering how you should use that. So I would say one might be someone who's just never played with it. Someone who is scared of it. And that's where that conflict and panic is. It first comes in the first time I see it. My thought is Terminator, right? And so it's scary. It's this big shiny robot that's stronger and faster and smarter than me. And maybe that's how people are considering AI these days. Number two is where you're starting to play with it. Maybe you're not so scared anymore and you want to play with it. You see how it looks really cool and shiny, the new thing that you want to do. And you've heard about all the amazing things it can do, and you want to do it. But then maybe three is where you did it and it didn't go the way you expected it to go. It didn't kind of build out what you thought it was going to build out. The results were not what you hoped for. They don't feel as beneficial for your classroom as you thought they would. Or maybe it's just too much. You tried it, it was overwhelming. You didn't understand it the way you expected it to go, and it just didn't work, and you don't want to use it. So maybe that's where you went down to the three. But then hopefully, as you see it being used, as your colleagues are using it well, you see the benefit and you see how it's being used. Maybe you didn't know how to do it, but you're seeing the results of it being used well. And then that's at that point where you want to start trying it more. And that would be the four, where we have our progress and our dissemination. We are there, we're feeling good about it, and we feel comfortable now. And then finally, five would be the progress at scale. We are all using it. We all know exactly how to use it. And that's where we have that district AI policy. As a district, this is exactly how we want it to be used. We're training you exactly how to use it, what you should expect from it, and we're all moving along. There's no way anyone's at a five. Now, you personally might be at a five. So that's where we talk about our questions to the left. Where are you? You personally might be at a five. Maybe you are an early adopter and you've been using it for a year in your classroom, and you're at the point where you feel like you know exactly how you want to use it and how you want your kids to use it. But the second question is, how are your colleagues? Are they at that level? Maybe you are the one. Maybe you're the three and you are there, but your colleagues are at the fours and the fives. So if you are the five, you need to find those ones and those threes. You need to show them how amazing it is for you, how it's saving you time, how it's making your life easier, how you're getting your kids deeper, faster with the use of AI. And if you are the ones or three, look for the fives. Because if they're out there, then you see there is light at the end of the tunnel and you want to be able to get to that point. If they're the five, we hope and pray that they are the ones who want to kind of pull you along and guide you to that next step. So find those colleagues that can help you. And then finally, where are you as a district? If you are a district leader and you're watching this video, have y'all created that policy I've been talking about? Have you shared that policy with your staff and trained them on that policy? You can't just give it to them. You have to show them. So how are we using it? Why are we using it? What is the data that backs up our choices on use of AI? And why do we feel like it's the right choice for our district? Why is this product the right choice for our district? And what do we anticipate to be the hurdles that we'll have to go through? Because there will be hurdles. So if you as a district say, hey, we want to use this tool and we want you using it in this way, there's going to be times like any new product where it takes time to get everyone from that one, from the two, through the three, and up to the five. And so it's going to take time. So these are the hurdles we anticipate, and it's okay. We should expect those. Let your teachers know that. Let them know that, hey, with any new product, we expect there to be some growing pains, and we're here to kind of walk you through those. So don't be ashamed if you come to us and you have issues. Don't feel like this is not going to be the product for you just because you hit those hurdles. We anticipate those, and this is how we kind of navigate through those. So as a district, make sure you're kind of considering that as you're building out that AI policy. Next, best practices. So let's say we have an AI tool, we want to use it, we encourage our staff to use it, and this is where we talk about what I said with that training. Now that we have a policy, we need to train our staff on how to use it properly. So when we're talking about using AI as either as a tool for teachers or for students, depending on how your district wants to utilize it, these are things you need to consider. Bias and accuracy. Is the information that we're getting from AI always accurate and is biased? So of course it is, because it's pulling the data from our experiences, from our information we're sharing with it. And all the time we see this in AI tools, especially a year or two ago when it was still in early adoption, which we're still early adoption for sure. But when it was just like it wasn't being mainstreamed in education. It was just people who were trying it out. Excuse me. So what we were seeing there is if you asked AI to show you a picture of a teacher, it absolutely is going to show you a female. If you ask it to show you an executive, it's going to show you a white male. And those are those biases that we don't need to have in today's society. And when we're looking at AI output, we needed to be diversified and show all of our community, not just one group of them. And so that was something that we need to consider. And so that's growing, that's getting better. But you need to consider that when you're seeing the output from those AI models, is it a good representation of what my community is? And if not, we need to try it again. The 80-20 approach would be simply 80% of the time, you're letting them do the heavy work. You're letting AI do the hard things, the grading, the lesson planning, all those things that take all the time in the world that can be streamlined through AI. But then the second part is that 20% that you have to verify everything that it puts out before you ever share it with colleagues, students, and parents and admin, making sure that it is educator focused, it's accurate, and it's following all the things you need to be following as an educator. The end of the day, you are the pro. AI is never going to be the pro in education. It's going to be the guideline, it's going to be the helper, but it's not going to be the be all end all. And I would argue 80-20 is way too high. It's probably 60-40, 50-50. When you're using it with AI, it's a tool that's coming beside you every step of the way to make your life easier and make you work more efficiently. but it's not going to be doing all the work. So make sure you're following those rules that anything you do through AI, even if it seems very simple, you're vetting it, you're checking it, you're making sure it's what you would expect to see from your work, right? Now it takes me to teacher judgment, always making sure you're going in there and you're using it as a teacher would use it, using right pedagogical things, actions, and you're following your knowledge as an educator, especially when it considers your teachers, your students. You know your students better than any AI tool ever will. You know what they're dealing with at home. You know what the days looked like. You know, hey man, today's been a really hard day. We had 30 kids going crazy. It was not a great learning environment that day. Maybe that it knows that AI will never know that. Or hey, I know that there was a storm last night and we lost power. A lot of my kids might not have got much sleep last night. So those are things that you know as a teacher that you need to consider when you're using these tools. Very importantly is protecting their privacy. So when you have that policy as a district or as a teacher, you need to recognize what personal information should we allow our students to put into our AI models. That's totally up for you to decide. Absolutely, they shouldn't be putting in any personal information that has to do with like their phone number or their address. But are you comfortable with them sharing their name? Those are things that you as a district need to consider and they know the limits of AI. It's not going to get everything perfect, and it's far from it now, especially when it comes to mathematics. It's not doing a great job at that. It can hallucinate. You can see where it gives out information that is absolutely right off the bat, you know, is not accurate. It'll get historical facts wrong. The more you say to it that could be misleading, the worse their output's going to be. So if you say something into it, hey, this is fact, it's going to believe you because you are the source. So make sure you're giving it accurate information to begin with. So what makes a good prompt? We like to use the power method. P is for persona, objective, who, extras, and results. So the persona is who am I asking the AI tool to be? Because it's representing me. So I am a teacher. But what is the objective? Okay, so I'm planning a lesson. So I'm a teacher is my persona. My objective is I'm making a lesson plan. Okay, so it knows those two things. It knows who I am, but you can go deeper. You can say I am a fifth grade teacher. I'm working with this group of children. This is the struggles I have in this class. This is my environment. This is my state. These are my standards. These are things you can tell as persona. My objective. Okay, I'm planning a lesson on what? What am I teaching? What grade am I teaching? What is the subject? What is this course? What is the unit we're working on? All great things to put in the objective. And who am I asking to respond to this? Who are my audience? Okay, so they're students with varying reading levels is what we put. That way it knows that the output has to be varied. And then the extras. What is the extra stuff that I want to throw in there? And I've already talked about a few, but make it student friendly, give it a hands-on activity, make sure that there is multiple reading levels, make sure that there is an audio part, make sure there's a video part. So these are all the extra things you want to add into it to make it more interactive. And then what are my results? What do I want to finally give me? So here it's asking for a lesson hook and a quick choice board. So this is the output. This is what I want to see, and it can build that for you. So on the right, I have that built out. So feel free to kind of read through that. Plot, excuse me, put that in to your tool. Put this prompt in there and see what it pushes out. And again, let's not forget that 80-20% rule. So after you've done that, tweak it, make it change, make it your own, make it to what you want it to be. So the next one is Gemini is now in Classroom. And so you no longer have to go directly into Gemini to do a lot of features that you can do directly in Classroom. So if I go over here, I am in Classroom. So let's just go back home. You should see on the left this Gemini tool right here. Now, this is only 18 plus, so your students will not see this. This is only for educators to make their work more streamlined. Because most of the stuff you're doing, if you're a G Suite district, with most of us are, they'll just throw it right in there for you. So if I click on Gemini, right up here, you have all the tools. So every tool that you see here that has this icon means it's staying in Classroom. It's not opening up another tab. It's staying right in here. So if I want to generate a quiz, I can put in there let's just do sixth grade, number of questions, and let's do water cycle. And I can generate those learning objectives. I can also tweak these once I've done that. I can change what they are. I can decide what kind of questions I want. Let's do multiple choice and short answer. I can generate my questions. Now, again, all this is happening directly in Classroom. I'm not going to Gemini outside of this tab. You notice I didn't have to open another tab. Once I'm done with that, if I like that, I can export that directly to my class. So I can take that, throw it directly into Google Classroom, pick my class, give it just a quick second. And there it is, already built out. I didn't have to do anything else. Now, again, I'm going to click on that. I want to open it and view those questions. Do not just click and throw that into Classroom. That's breaking that 80-20 rule or the 50-50 rule, whatever you want to call it. Now I can go through and check to make sure the answer key is that the correct answer? Is that the choice that I want to give? Now, again, I saved 20 minutes right there. I didn't have to type anything out, but I do need to go back and check that. So that's one of the tools that are built into Google Classroom. As you notice, I didn't go anywhere. It was built right there. Let's go back to Gemini. Now, if you see this icon, that's going to show that it will open another tab, but it's still going to make your work a lot more streamlined, a lot faster. So it's going to use a pre-built out gem. And so if I click this, crafting, okay, so now it's going to say, oh, I know what you want to do. There's my role. There's my task. I didn't have to type that in there. I can expand that to read it. Okay, so here's my role and my task already ready to go. And it's already doing the work for me. So I don't have to consider how I want to do that. So let's go back. I did crafting engaging discussion prompts. It automatically is going to do that for me. It's going to ask me some follow-up questions so I can put that in there so it knows who I am, right? That who part. But it's automatically going to throw that in there for me. And then again, once I'm done with that, I can export that out as a doc and then throw that into Classroom. Or I can copy and paste it and throw it into a post in Classroom if I want to. So that's going to be your two differences you're going to see in Classroom Gemini is if it's got the Gemini tool or icon, it's going to open up Gemini, but it's going to have it a lot faster pre-built for you. Then you export it back into Classroom. If it has these icons, then it's staying there the whole time. There's no bouncing back and forth. It's going to make it a lot faster and a lot easier for you. Such as a new tool they're adding into Google Classroom. They're adding new things that they released yesterday. They're not coming out yet, but they're working really hard to make this even better for you in the future. So keep an eye out for new updates as well. As we get them ready to go, we'll share them with you as well. But this is one of the fun things about Gemini in Classroom. Let's go down. Let's click that one. The next one is Notebook LM. So the question here is, it is now 13 plus. It was 18 plus. Now that's a 13 plus. So that's a tool that you can use with students if you so choose to. That's going to be up. That one plus the Gemini is going to be up to your district on how they or who they give that access to. Gemini is available for everyone in your domain. So little to big, you can use it now. That's up to you to decide as a district if you want to. So if you're an admin, you have to make that decision. If you're not, then you need to talk to your admin or say, hey, is this in our policy? In Notebook LM, can staff use it for planning? Absolutely. It's a great tool, and I'll show you right here, where I can go in there to kind of keep myself organized, keep all my resources for a unit in one place. So what would be a great idea would be create a notebook for every unit you do. And then as you build in resources to add resources, you can add those in there. So then it's a great place to come back for the next year. Okay, what did I teach last year? What did I like? What did I not like? What do I want to add or take out? But it does so much more than that. So let's go to the Civil War one that I did. And I have these resources that I've added in here. And all I had to do is click add. And as you can see, I can drop files directly from my computer. I can go to my Google Drive and drop those in there. I can post links from a website or a YouTube video. So those are great ways to kind of pull in those resources. If I don't have something specifically in mind, I can click Discover Resources, and I could type in Civil War, click Submit, and it's going to pull resources that it thinks are valuable for me in this moment. Now, once they pull in, I can kind of pick and choose which ones I think are beneficial, which ones are not. So once this loads, I can kind of click these check boxes and say the ones that I want to do. But how do I know if they're ones I want? Just by looking at that example. Well, I can click this pop-out box, and now I can read that. And if I think it's valuable, then yes, I want to keep it clicked. If I don't think it's valuable, I will unclick those. And so let's say I like these few right here. I click import. Now it's throwing those in there. Now you can throw in, I believe it's 50 resources or 50 or, let's see. Let's just do a quick Google. How many resources can I use in Notebook LM? 50, yeah, 50 resources, and each one can be 500,000 words. So I think you'll be good with that amount. So let's say I have all these resources in there. It'll start to summarize these for what it talks about. I can go through and do an audio overview if I want to. I can do a mind map, and I can do follow-up questions. So let's say I have all these resources and I want to ask it follow-up questions. It's going to give me a few examples, but I don't have to use those. So if I want to say how did differing interpretations of states' rights and slavery contribute to the Civil War outbreak, that might be a topic that you talk about in class. You can click that. It's going to answer it based on all the information you have here. This is a great place for you as an educator to kind of prep and prepare for a lesson, but also might be a great place for your kids to review and study. So maybe you have a pre-built out notebook like this, and you have all your resources that you've vetted, that you've approved in there ready to go. And then you want to share that with your students. Now your students have all that information and they can do an audio overview. Maybe they're coming home from a football game on a Friday night. Maybe they had a tennis match on Tuesday and they're coming home and they have all these resources. They can click audio overview and basically listen to a podcast based on all those resources you shared with them. So that's a way that maybe helps them gather information. If they can't work on it, maybe it's a late night, maybe they're on a bus and it's dark and they don't want to do that. This allows them to at least retain that information, collect that information, and be able to just kind of start gathering it. Okay. Great way to do it. It does video overviews as well. I would click these, but it does take some time to kind of let those build out. So I'm not going to force you to kind of watch me do that. But I would absolutely encourage you as maybe as a PLC group, maybe as a department to kind of consider how could we use Notebook LM to better service our students, or maybe better just prepare for our classes. Maybe it's a great place where you kind of share that notebook with your PLC group and you're all just throwing resources in there. Hey, I found this. Hey, I found this. And now I've got a collection of all that information, and I can always go and open those up if I want to, and just kind of use it as a way to kind of keep us all organized. So great ways to use Notebook LM. And again, it is now free for you. Use it, decide whether you are going to use it, whether you're going to allow your kids to use it as well. And then finally, at the bottom, I have these other options, and I'm not going to go into them, but I have links. If you click each one, it's a link. Magic School AI, a great tool. If you want to give your kids a safe place to use AI, you can create student rooms where you choose how they can interact with it. That's only how they can interact with it. It's a great tool. Frisk works amazing in all the products you have. So it's an extension, so you would have to get approval to install that extension. But if you're using Google, perfect. It's going to work so well with all your Google products. It does a great job of checking students' writing for plagiarism, but also copy and paste. And you can actually watch them type out their essay. So it's a great tool there. You can change reading levels on really anything that you're using, on PDFs, websites, stuff like that. So really great if you need to differentiate your classroom for varying levels of reading, and dozens and dozens of more tools. Cami has been in there for a long time. It wasn't a AI tool, and I still wouldn't call it an AI tool. It's a PDF editor, but they've added a lot of really fun AI tools into it. So if you have Cami, I would encourage you to go back and relook at it, kind of go through those tools. And Diffit is an AI tool that's really good for reading RLA. And that's not it. It does great with science and social studies as well, but it pulls in resources that you can use, books and essays and stuff like that, to provide resources for your kids. And it's a really good tool for that. So I would encourage you to kind of go through those 4 tools. Below that, I did just post a video. It's a longer video, but I think does a really good job of showing you how to use Notebook LM, something that I couldn't do in the 5-minute pitch I had for it. So watch that. And below that, we have our calendar, our schedule for the rest of the year. So please go through that. If you have not already registered, you can click the register button on this page and register for all of our videos, all of our lunch and learns. So if you want to register for all of them right now and get them on your calendar, that way you don't forget, you absolutely can do that. Or you can just register for the ones you like. We have what the topics will be. So if you like, hey, I really want to do the Google tips and tricks, but I'm not ready for Canva coding, you don't have to register for that one, but you can do all of them at once if you want to. So I want to go back to the top real quick, and let's just kind of talk about, again, how you as a district want to utilize these tools. So you need to consider how we as a district consider AI. How do we think we should use it? Where do we think it's beneficial? And where do we think it's not ready yet? Where are you as an individual? And if you are one of those high people, how can you share? And if you're one of the lower people, then how can you find those people and kind of jump on their coattails and follow along and kind of learn from them? Let them make the mistakes. Let them make all the errors, and let them figure it out. So that way, when it comes to you, it's polished and ready to go. Remember our best practices, bias, 80-20, knowing the limitations of AI and when it's beneficial and when it's not, and how to detect those things. How to write good prompts. That way you're getting good results. Make sure you're putting the right information. That way you get exactly what you're looking for. And then these 2 tools right here, remembering that this is up to your district to decide whether you are using these tools or not. If you are a Google district, then Gemini should be the one you use. It gives you more bang for your buck. It's going to be built in right into all your Google products. It links to all of your Drive and all that stuff, makes it really easy. Same way with Notebook LM, two Google products built directly into your G Suite profile. And you just as a district need to decide, are we using 18 plus? Are we letting people use Gemini lower? Notebook LM, are we letting students use it or just educators? So things y'all need to consider and talk about as a district. And so this is going to be really fun. It's going to be the new world of education. And so you're gonna have to get on now or later. You might as well do it now. If you have questions, if you want follow up, if you want to go deeper in this, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to sit down with you, walk through it, do another Zoom with you. Come out to your district. I'd love to come out and do PD and show y'all how to use this well. And so if y'all that's something you would want to do, reach out and we can work something out. Thank y'all so much for watching, for listening, and for wanting to be a part of our EdTech community. If you have questions, reach out. Thank y'all so much.